get this shit over with. You gonna lead off?
No.
Cool. Welcome everyone to another week of Bird Coverage. I'm your host Curtis.
Excuse me, and I'm Joel.
And we're here breaking down all of your Week 13 action for fantasy leagues such as DraftKings and FanDuel, which I can no longer play, and Yahoo, which I still play.
FanDuel if you live in 40 states.
Yeah, and slowly falling. You want to lead off with a quarterback this week?
I absolutely will lead off with a quarterback. I am going to lead off with... There it is. With
Is this like your placemat from Smuckies?
I finished the maze and I did very well. I'm going to start off with MVP candidate Cam Newton Carolina Panthers going against the New Orleans Saints. So let's see. He's coming off his worst start of the year, worst statistical performance of the year last week. In a win over the Cowboys, but they did get 2 pick sixes out of their defense. He's going against the New Orleans Saints, and unfortunately, as you all know, that we mourn the loss of the terrible defensive coordinator, Rob Ryan. Rest in peace. But rest assured, this is still a Rob Ryan defense. And the last time that Cam Newton played this team, he went 20 of 31 for 315 yards, 2 passing touchdowns, and 1 rushing touchdown. He had a monster game. This one is in the Dome. Carolina is undefeated, and I do not see them losing to the New Orleans Saints. The one thing that Cam has really improved on this year is he has not thrown an interception in almost a month at this point, and that's always been one of his biggest downfalls. And he's kind of middle of the pack right now. He's going for 7,400 on DraftKings, $9,000 on the duel. I really think that it's the Saints. They're going to beat the shit out of him.
Yeah, Cam Newton's only he's not necessarily, he's still higher end, but
well, like top 10, but not top 5.
He's the only time, and so one of my biggest things about playing Cam is that there's not a high ceiling usually when you look at his pass yards. You know, he's not putting up 400 yards passing ever. Except his first 2 games in the league, oddly enough. But he's actually only thrown for 300 yards in 1 game this year, which happened to be against the New Orleans Saints. And the fact that this game is in New Orleans, I think that's going to press Cam to throw just a little more. But the best thing about Cam is that his complete team situation is good. He doesn't really have to press. He's got Jonathan Stewart running the ball 20 times fairly effectively. He's got one of the best defenses, maybe, at the end of the year, we'll start considering maybe one of the best defenses in the past decade. Well, we'll see. We'll see. We'll see what their final record is. I'm just going to throw that out there. And obviously, we have arguably the best team in the NFL, at least record-wise, going against the worst D in the NFL, stat-wise. So, no reason not to play Cam. I do think the ceiling's a little capped on this, but the floor is very high.
Well, I mean, yes, the odds of him getting 300 yards passing those are the exceptions, not the rules with Cam Newton's game. But as we all know, Cam's value is in his rushing. So he's rushing he's back to the old Cam that we've known, have come to expect, and he's back with a vengeance. This team's on a mission. I don't know how. Looking down the road, I don't see them making a deep playoff run, but they are a force to be reckoned with in the regular season. Cam's putting up some really, really good numbers.
Who are they worried about in the NFC, though? I mean, the Packers. The Packers had a miracle win.
Cardinals?
I guess the Cardinals. I mean, that's where I put my money early in the year.
Absolutely.
But, the Falcons are falling off the face of a cliff.
And, I mean, Aaron Rodgers in the playoffs, the Packers are not looking great, but would you want to play the Packers in the playoffs?
No, never. But they're not going to play in Green Bay. That's the big thing. But the Panthers, I believe, did play the Packers, and that didn't go so well for the Packers.
I mean, it's a little bit of a slide right now.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. But yeah, Cam this week. I'm going to go to a much less renowned quarterback than Cam. Actually, a wide receiver in college, Ryan Tannehill. This week playing your Baltimore Ravens.
Baltimore Ravens?
Yours, not mine, believe me. Ryan Tannehill's coming in 5,300 DraftKings and 7,300 FanDuel. If any of you happen to have had nothing to do in your life but watch Monday Night Football last week, you saw the Baltimore Ravens struggle against the Josh McCown, then Austin Davis-led Browns, in which Austin Davis uncorked a 60-yard touchdown pass to Travis Benjamin. The rest was almost history until Baltimore found a way to pull the game out of their ass on a blocked field goal for a touchdown. It was a great game, and I don't think there's been a game since then. Thursday, I don't even know if that was a good game or not. But we have Ryan Tannehill this week playing that same Baltimore defense that allowed the Browns to put up 289 and 2 touchdowns in their 2 combined quarterbacks. Granted, a couple of those drives, Josh McCown was already injured as well, and we had a replacement level Austin Davis come in too. In that game, they allowed 3 players to have over 70 yards receiving, so they're really letting everybody catch the ball. Just good news for Ryan Tannehill, because this is a guy who, yes, he throws to Jarvis Landry the most, but he also likes to spread the ball around. He's got good targets too. He has no Rashard Matthews this week, but he does have Jordan Cameron. He does have Devontae Parker, their first-round pick. And Lamar Miller actually gets a ton of passes out of the backfield for them as well. Kenny Stills is questionable, but I'll throw him into the mix too. Last game, Ryan Tannehill threw for a 351 and 3 when they were down to the Jets. Yes, those Jets they were down to. So Tannehill's a guy that has proven that he can move the ball and has decent targets. This game being at home. These are both 4-7 teams with not a lot to play for, only the slimmest of playoff hopes. They want to believe that they have any playoff hopes at all, which they don't. But Miami did come into this year as a darling sleeper team to make the playoffs, as did the Vikings, which actually did prove to their promise. Miami did not. This is kind of their last gasp. I expect Tannehill to go out throwing. They've been talking a lot about moving the ball down the field. That's always been the knock on Tannehill. I see him to take a few deep shots as well.
Whichever team wins, this game still has a puncher's chance at the playoffs. Whoever loses is officially eliminated. But what did Tannehill throw for last week? 351?
351 and 3 touchdowns.
And you know what that did? That got his offensive coordinator fired. So, I don't know. I like Ryan Tannehill a lot. I've been a big Ryan Tannehill supporter a lot of weeks on this show and in the preseason and all year. But I don't know. It's a new. Granted, the quarterbacks coach is their new offensive coordinator now. So
let's say this for a Dolphins team that fired their coach and their offensive coordinator in the past month. If you're the starting quarterback for said team, you probably want to do pretty well with these guys running the show.
And I understand, but I just think that I don't know. Miami is just a team that is just they're trying, like when they fired what's his name, the head coach.
Yeah,
their former
Joe
head coach.
Philbin.
They went on the little run and then they stalled. And now they're
to be fair, they played like teams like the Patriots.
Yeah, but now it's just like they're almost trying to if we fire a coach, we will go on a winning streak. I don't know. And without Rashard Matthews, I love Jarvis Landry this week, but it's an okay play.
He's a 5,300,
Yeah, he's a value play, but he would not be my highest of value plays.
Well, do you
know who would be
my highest of value plays?
I love segues.
There you go. That would be someone that the left side of the couch usually is a big proponent of, and that is Big Ben Roethlisberger. Going against the Indianapolis Colts this week, and you know what? He's at home, and we know Big Ben at home is money in the bank. So let's go off a little bit. Indianapolis is giving up the 12th most fantasy points to quarterbacks this year. They're giving up almost 280 yards a game, which is not a lot when you compare it to Big Ben's home stats. Big Ben is averaging 336 yards and 2 touchdowns a game at home this season.
That's average?
That is his average this season at home. And last week, what did he do? He threw for 456 yards and 1 touchdown against the amazing or formerly amazing, and what the
Legion of Bust.
the right side of the couch called a bust team this year, the Seattle Seahawks defense, and that was in Seattle. And if he's going to do that in Seattle with or without a concussion, maybe against an Indianapolis Colts team that really is just on a downward spiral. And he's cheaper than Cam. He's more expensive than Tannehill, but he's going for $6,600 on DraftKings, $8,100 on the duel. Big Ben at home all day long. I mean, he's averaging over 300 yards a game.
Yeah, in case you're not a devout follower of the show, I love to play a lot of scattered tournament tickets, and a lot of my tickets are going to have Ben on it. He's my quarterback in my league and note. I went heavy on the Steelers this year, which has been great when Ben's been healthy, and not so great when he hasn't been. He's got a great receiving core that let Marcus Wheaton get 200 yards. I don't think that's going to happen again this week. I think it was just matchup based. But you still have Antonio Brown. The Vontae Davis thing, he's not who he used to be. I think Antonio Brown can still hit 100 yards. Martavis Bryant looks like he's healthy. Should be a big factor in this game. And D'Angelo Williams was a surprise out of the backfield too, not just rushing, but last week he had 77 yards receiving. I love the Big Ben play. He's not that expensive. He's less than Cam, for example. And you know they like to throw, and they are in the thick of a playoff race. They can't afford to lose games right now. Neither can the Colts, but the Colts really don't have the firepower. They'll try, but they don't have the offensive capability to keep up with Big Ben.
No, and the Steelers are fighting against all odds. Like, the amount of injuries, they probably have sustained more injuries to star players this year in and out of the lineup than any other team. But they are still right in the thick of it. And last week, I think Ben chucked the ball 55 times. It's Big Ben. He's going to throw the ball.
And deep shots.
Yeah,
he's not afraid of the deep ball. Watching the Steelers is fun because, they, 2nd and 5, they'll throw a deep ball. They don't care.
I know. It hurts me to say it's fun to watch Steelers.
Ouch.
It hurts me a little bit.
I like it watching my boy bring me playoff gold. We both clinched in our league, by the way. Playoff spots.
I clinched a couple weeks ago.
Yeah. Speaking of somebody who hasn't clinched and is falling quickly out of the playoffs, that's Matt Ryan, my last pick for quarterback this week. Matt Ryan, 6,700 DraftKings, 7,400 FanDuel against my beloved Tampa Bay Buccaneers in Tampa. Yes, Matt Ryan's usually a lot better at home than he is on the road, but now his back's against the wall, and now finally everything's coming into focus for what the Atlanta Falcons have to do. Basically win. They had a nice cushion and looked like they were going to coast in the playoffs, and they lose to teams such as San Francisco and my Bucks. And now they're looking at a must-win game against Tampa that already has a game in hand against them. The Bucks have allowed the 14th most passing yards to quarterbacks. Not that great. The Bucks defense has been pretty decent this year.
It's a top 10 defense. Oh wait, no, it's not.
However, the Bucks have allowed 23 passing touchdowns to quarterbacks, which is 28th in the league. So there's a lot of opportunity for Matt Ryan to produce. And in fact, the last game that he actually lost against, I'm the one that picked Matt Ryan.
I know,
okay?
but it's like, oh God, you're such a spin doctor. Like, last week they were a top 10 defense. Now, oh no, Matt Ryan's going to throw all over the place.
Hey, I'm going to bring the people, I'm going to bring unbiased opinion. I'm going to sit over here and say Nelson Aguilar is going to have a 300-yard game. I'll play against my team. I'm out here for you. I'm not just waving the pewter flag. Not you. God, no. Yeah, pewter. Bucks. Never mind. The last game Matt Ryan played against the Bucks, which he lost, by the way, at home. He threw for 397 and 2 touchdowns. Yes, 397, 2 touchdowns. And guess who else that went to? Julio Jones, 12 catches for 162 and a touchdown. And Jacob Tamme had 10 catches for 103 and a touchdown. And no Hankerson has been put on IR. Roddy White's continued to be ineffective, even though there was a little Roto-World leak that said they're going to try to throw the ball downfield more, which is not really looking good for the Bucks. But yeah, so
Really, Dave Julio Jones, they're going to try to throw the ball downfield.
Yeah, I think it was just more like we want to do a Roddy White story before he retires. But this is actually a something to prove game. It's in division. They already lost against the Bucks, and if the Bucks win, they have a stranglehold on the Falcons for that last playoff spot. So look for Matt Ryan to come out firing.
No way, man.
You're on the Bucks bandwagon.
No, I'm not, but I'm off the Matty Ice bandwagon. I think I've advocated Matty Ice for 3 weeks in a row on this show, and he's screwed me every freaking week the last 3 weeks, and I refuse
That's because you don't know what you're talking
go
about.
to that well again. No, this is a team in disarray. They have one of the top 2 wide receivers in the NFL, and they are just not able to do it. Matt Ryan is an average quarterback. Especially on the road, he's a below-average quarterback, and this team they've got one of the best wide receivers and one of the best running backs, and they're not able to put it together. And so, no, screw you, Matt Ryan. I know you're from Philly. I love that, but no, I'm going elsewhere.
Let me also add that too. The Bucks best linemen. The Bucks best linemen are possibly out this week, so there will be a little less pressure on Matt Ryan, and you need to put pressure on him. Really afraid for the Bucks this game. James is going to have to pull out finally his 300-yard, 5-touchdown game. Oh, he's already done that. Well, another one. So yeah, go Bucks, but Matt Ryan, something to watch this week.
Yeah, it's something to watch. It's a train wreck.
Well, thanks for joining us for another edition of Burnt Coverage. I'm Curtis.
I'm Joel.
And we hope to catch you for the rest of our segments in Week 13 and the rest of the season.
Next week on the couch.
See ya. Oh, I gotta hold a sneeze for about 2 minutes.